Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It has been a very long hot minute since I last uploaded. Well, no, not really, because I uploaded this year. Sometimes it's like a whole 12 months between uploads. I have uploaded this year, but this year's plan was to at least do reading wrap-up videos every single month, and I kind of stopped doing that. I'm still reading, don't get me wrong. I just kind of fell behind on doing the wrap-ups, and then I was like, I can't bother catching up or like skipping some months. So I haven't been doing those videos, but if you do want to see what I have been reading this year, then go over to my blog and check out all of my reviews. But I couldn't not do this video because it has become a bit of a tradition around here. If you've been following me, whether on this channel or anywhere on social media for the past 7 years, you will know that every year on my birthday, I put together a list of book recommendations with the number of books on that list reflecting how old I am turning. I started this when I turned 21 by recommending 21 books. And somehow it has become a tradition that is so fun, but also it's a lot because every year I'm adding one more book and the list is obviously getting longer and longer and longer. And it's just, there's so many books to choose from. It's getting really hard now to narrow it down to the number of books that I have to recommend. So this year it is 28 books because apparently I am getting old. Anyway, so without further ado, let's get into the list. Now, because there are 28 books and this video would be forever long if I went through what all these books are about and why you should read them, I'm doing this the really quick way. I'm only going to tell you the title, author, the number that it is in a series, the genre, and then I'm going to be sharing 3 words or short phrases to give you a little bit of a taster of why you should be reading the book. And if you want to know more about the books and what my thoughts are on them, there will be a link in the top line of the description to a blog post where I have all of these books listed and linked to my reviews, so you can get a little bit more of an insight into what is going on in these books and why, what I thought of them and why you should read them. So, without further ado, here are 28 books that I am gifting you in honor of my birthday. Number 1 is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas, the second book. Yes, that is right, the second book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series. This is a new adult fantasy. All the world building, spicy bat boys, and a really fun group of friends. Book number 2 is A Cowboy for Alyssa by Shirley Pennick, the first book in the Burlap and Barbed Wire series. This is a romance book, or I suppose rural romance if we're going to get a bit technical. Boss-employee relationship, a Colorado ranch full of swoony cowboys, and a really fun family dynamic. Book number 3 is a newbie to the list, and that is A Lesbian's Guide to Women by Erica Lee. This is a queer romance novel. Friends with Benefits coming out and all the spice. Book 4 is Because of Him by Jessica Rowe, the first book in the Fortunate series, which is a YA new adult romance. Forbidden, all the feels, and sweet romance. Book number 5 is Big Duke Energy by Emma Hart. This book is a standalone, but it does take place within the wider Aristoverse world that Emma has created, which is made up of a couple of trilogies, one trilogy, and a couple of standalones, so make of that what you will. And this is a romance. Swoony, Duke, Grumpy Sunshine, and a love letter to romance books. Another newbie on the list is Can I Steal You for a Second by Jodie McAllister, the second book in the Marry Me Juliet series. The books in this series all take place over the exact same time period, so it's definitely good to read them in order, but you definitely don't have to. And this is also a queer romance, reality dating show set during pandemic times, and sweet and swoony. Next up, we have Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake, the first book in the Bright Falls series, and this is another queer romance. Sister's Best Friend returning to a small hometown, and sweet and swoony. Another newbie is Home to a Kid in Lane by Eva Scott. This is a rural romance. This is another returning to your small hometown, high school crushes, and a walnut farm, which is quite interesting, and I really want to visit an IRL walnut farm now. Then we also have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This is the first book in the Maple Falls series, and this is a new adult romance. Hockey and figure skating, fun banter, and sweet, spoony, and spicy. Then book number 10 is If This Gets Out by Sophie Gonzalez and Kel Dietrich. This is another queer romance. Boy band romance, secret relationship, and coming out to the public. Then we have In the Event of Love by Courtney Kay, the first book in the Fern Falls series, which is another queer romance. Former Best Friends to Lovers, all the Hallmark, cozy Christmas vibes and holiday romance. Then we have one that's actually been on the list for like ever, and that is Miss Mechanic by Emma Hart. This is a standalone romance, a strong, take no shit female main character, literally oozing sexual tension, and a swoony AF male character. Then we have Mistakes Were Made by Mira Wilsner. This is a queer romance, age gap, roommate's mum, and all the spice. Another newbie is More Than Shipmates by Philippa Young. This is the first book in a series. I don't know what it's called. I'm going to call it Shipmates because it makes sense. This is a romance, cruise ship, forced proximity, and all the swoon and all the spice. Then we have My Only Regret by Lee Lennon, the second book in the Love is Love series. This is a queer romance, marriage of convenience, a really intense storyline that is bigger than the romance, and a couple of really sassy kids that make things quite lighthearted. Book number 16 is another OG, and that is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff, the first book in the Nevernight Chronicle. School for Assassins, all the sass and all the smut, and the pages are literally dripping blood. Another newbie is one of the most hyped books of the year, and that is Pucking Around by Emily Rath, the first book in the Jacksonville Raised series, and this is a romance, hockey with a new NHL team, a Y2/polyamory story, and it is literally 750 pages of impure spice and a little bit of hockey as well. Another OG is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, the first book in the Red Queen series. This is a YA fantasy. All the plot twists, a really interesting magic system, and a super intriguing world.
Hey guys, coming at you from the future of this video, but the past in your current time, because I totally forgot the authors. I don't know how, because I have like a whole list that I was working with and somehow I missed it. But that book is Royally Screwed by Emma Case, the first book in the Royally series. This is a new adult romance, inside the royal family, swooning AF prince, and sweet romance. So that's the video, I guess.
Then we have Secret Puck by Rebecca Genchak, the first book in the Campus Nights series, college hockey, teammate sister, and a swoony AF hockey team. Another OG is Switched by Amanda Hocking, the first book in the Trill trilogy, and this is a YA urban romance. Trolls, but not the like ugly living under a bridge kind of troll, an angsty romance, and a really interesting magical system. Then we have The Assist by Rebecca Genchak, the first book in the Smart Jocks series, which is a new adult romance, college basketball, fun and flirty, and a swoony AF team of basketballers. Then we have The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane, which is a queer romance, reality dating show, forced proximity, and all the feels. Then we have The Deal by Elle Kennedy, the first book in the Off Campus series, which is a new adult romance, college hockey, fake dating, and sweet and spicy. Then we have The Nanny by Lana Ferguson, which is a romance, found family, boss employee, and forced proximity. A very recent read was The Roommate Pact by Alison Ashley, which is the second book in like a companion novel series, but it doesn't really have a name, and I don't think she's credited as a series, but make of that what you will, which is a romance, housemates turned friends with benefits, he falls first, and again, forced proximity. The penultimate book is also my last physical copy, and that is another OG in Tomorrow When the War Began by John Marsden, the first book in the Tomorrow series, which is like a YA dystopian, but dystopian as in like war, like current war. I always find it so hard to describe this book. Rule Australia, an amazing group of teen friends, and ask the question, what would happen if Australia was invaded? Finally, book number 28 is also a new addition to the list, and that is Welcome to Paradise by Lee Skold, the first book in the Resort series, and this is another queer romance, summer romance, post-lockdown world, and all the spice with no third act breakup. And that is the list of 20 books that I'm gifting you in honor of my birthday. I hope you enjoyed. As you can tell, I am in my romance era. I have been in my romance era for many years now. I used to read quite a lot of fantasy, haven't read a lot of fantasy recently, and that's starting to show because there's only a few fantasy books left on this list. If you go back and check out my early lists, you will see that there is some fantasy and some sci-fi and some dystopian that are no longer on the list. Also, there is a huge influx of queer romance because I have been reading a lot more queer romances this past like 2 years, which has been super fun. I've managed to find some amazing stories and authors by broadening my romance interests in my bookish romance interests. So I hope you guys enjoyed and got a few book recommendations off this list. If you have any recommendations that are similar to the books I've recommended, leave them in the comments below because you can never have too many books on your TBR. Thank you everyone for the birthday wishes, and I will see you guys again at some point with another video. I'm not going to promise when, let's be real, but I will see you guys at some point with another video. Oh, actually, I don't know if it'll be my next video, but if you were enjoying my monthly wrap-ups, I'm not going to continue my monthly wrap-ups this year. That'll be a 2024 thing, but I will be doing like an end of year wrap-up video. So stay tuned for that, because let's face it, that might be my next video. Anyway, I'll see you guys whenever. Bye.